Hello, and welcome to this very important podcast. Normally I start out with some really funky seal music entitled Crazy, and everything feels different today. Absolutely everything. I'm nervous, I'll be honest, about today's message. That's unusual for me. I'm not a nervous kind of person. But this is a whole new venture, and there's part of Human Jill that's just incredibly freaked out. I've learned to embrace those moments that sometimes it's the things that we are most afraid of that we actually should rush into. And if we analyze it too much, we'll talk ourselves out of another level of amazingness in this reality. So I've learned to trust that. So here we go. So what are we doing today? What are we doing today? Okay, so we're going to be talking about the matrix and the higher dimensions. Yeah, I know we're going to do this. Oh my God. Okay, so let's start with conscious breathing. That always feels good. We won't spend too long here, but let's just close our eyes. If you have any legs crossed or arms crossed, I just encourage you to uncross and relax your body. Place your attention on your breathing. Notice your heart beating all on its own. Notice your lungs taking in air all on their own. And now with intention and your eyes remaining closed, please take a nice inhale of belly breathing where your belly actually expands with the inhale. Now exhale through the mouth. And one more time. Okay. Staying right there, focusing on your breathing. I'm just going to come over for a moment and give your brain a big hug, because it's going to be seen and it's going to be heard today. But we're also going to be beckoning more and more of your soul signature, the layers of you that are truly timeless, that are 100% pure and loving in their intention. Your higher self energy that shows up in galactic council meetings saying, hey, we need some help down here. Things aren't going so great. I want this changed. I want that changed. Or maybe we even say, can I get out of here, please? I made a mistake. Nice deep breath. But we are here. So let's make the best of it. Trusting that our higher self knew what it was doing when it decided to incarnate, when it chose to be here, when it looked at all the possibilities of human configurations of the bodysuit and it created yours, one of a kind, and said, yeah, I'll go down. I'll be that. She and he is totally rock star, and I can work with that. We're going to remember that today. Just relax our shoulders, pulling your shoulders down away from your ears. Hi, Samson. Thanks for being here, buddy. Okay. Nice deep breath again. Okay. All right. I encourage you to open your eyes if you haven't already. Welcome. Welcome to this extremely important message. We'll make that important. Each of us, the responsibility is not entirely on me. It's also on you. We are a group. We are interacting here as a tribe today of consciousness, of enlightenment, and of intense desire to get serious about light and love and, I want to say, godliness being completely tangible in all facets of this reality, because we will accept nothing less. And we came all this way to be human for nothing less than a completely upgraded, game-changing experience for humanity that we set in motion, that we create, that we envision, that we act upon, and that we allow for all other humans to also follow in our footsteps. This is the important part. If they choose, and not all choose, as you probably noticed. Okay, very good. Okay, so I have to give a little bit of a backstory here. I wasn't sure I was going to do the podcast today. I was just kind of like, I'm doing so many other things. Maybe nobody will miss the podcast today. And then at some point I thought, whoa, this is a huge opportunity to be able to share. And it feels really special that I happened months ago to plan this podcast, and it just happened to show up on the solar eclipse. No coincidences there, right? So the energy is uniquely dynamic for this message. What I didn't expect is what we're going to be talking about today. So I woke up at 1 a.m. I had a headache starting about 4 p.m. yesterday. I got some energy healing help with that, and I was doing all my biological tricks with activated charcoal and lots of water and salt water and things like that to reset my electromagnetic field, because there was something interesting going on there. Anyway, so 1 a.m., I wake up, I still have the headache, it's starting to recede, and I start having this fascinating conversation with my team about what we're going to be doing today. And I was interacting with what I call Watika. Watika is unconsciousness in this reality. It is the essence of the forgetting we are God. It has just enough consciousness to be alive, and yet it is pretty much a representation of what it's like to be alive and not know you're God, to not necessarily have the best intentions for people, and to maybe even have subversive intentions in this reality just because it has permission to do so. It doesn't necessarily have a value system, and it plays, and I would say preys, on unconsciousness. So I'm interacting with Watika in a very amicable sort of vibe. I'm going to say he just because English language, or not only English, human language, we are forced into pronouns of male versus female, masculine versus feminine. So I'm going to say he because I don't want to call it it, because I do respect it more than that, and it seems demeaning. So I was interacting with him. And it's amicable. He knows he can't take me down. We've already been down that. He's already tried that before in previous versions of me prior to my activation. I didn't know how strong I was against, I want to call it darkness. What it really is lack of light. Don't give it too much power, right? I was told 4 years ago this month. So March of 2012, another human who's also connected said to me, you have demonstrated your sovereignty in very dark situations. And I just listened intently, God bumps, goosebumps all over me of confirmation. No one had ever said that to me or seen me in that way, but I knew at a soul level she was right. And she said, you go where angels can't go. And she said, some people believe that angels can go, the angelic vibration can go wherever it wants to go. It can't. There's only so much lack of light energy that what most consider angelic can take before it, I want to say, disembodies or loses. It's almost dematerializes is what Archangel Michael is saying. So there's a structure in place in this reality that's not conducive to the angelic realms. But there's some of us that have demonstrated the strength of our light. And so we are angelic, but it's a nature of divine angelics, which is only light-based, by the way, that we could go into places in a fearless way, which is all of what it's about, and maintain the integrity of our divinity no matter what. I've got that. My sense is, if you're listening to this, and for anyone who resonates with my work, is that you've got that too. Okay, so let me have the honor and the blessing of saying to you, your energy is so strong, and you have demonstrated your sovereignty in extreme situations of lack of light. In my book, that's exactly why we're here. We have extreme situations of lack of light on planet Earth that has been transpiring for tens of thousands of years. But the thing is that the cycle is coming to, I want to call it a close, but that doesn't mean it goes away, and we'll be talking about that today and more in the future. anyway, we've had a lot of misunderstandings about what that means. So, okay, so that's who I am, and that's who you are as well. You have a demonstrated ability to maintain your light in a way that what we think of as the angelic realms cannot. Okay? You are angelic, no question about it. And you have this added, I'm going to call it durability, of being completely kick-ass in that light in a way that can, I want to say, stand tall, stand firm, stand expanded, not contracted, and fearless in the face of unconsciousness, in the face of Wetiko, in the face of another force of energy offered in this reality that wants to take you down. And you can say, no, I see you for exactly what you are, and I'm going to stand in my authority because nothing trumps light. Nothing can take down the light of God, ever, unless we let it. Unless we give it that power. That's what fear is. Okay? So I'm not asking us to be stupid. Let's be intelligent. Let's be savvy. Let's be wise. Let's embrace our brains. They're part of our equipment for a good reason. And let's be, light-based ninjas in this reality more consciously going forward. Okay? That's partly what we're going to be doing today, is pointing out some of the areas of misunderstandings and misinformation that I see over and over and over again in my work. And I had chosen to just kind of let that be. I had an understanding of the way that this reality works, that it's not something to fix. When I see another amazing, peer, comrade in this reality that just isn't quite getting it the way that I see it, and I see the weakness and the downfall of their approach, I have for years been just sitting idly by, unless they're in private session asking me for help, and not saying anything about it. I can't stay quiet anymore. I just can't. It breaks my heart when I'm looking at all this amazing divine intention going on in the space of spirituality, consciousness, enlightenment, even ufology and full disclosure communities, and there's so much misinformation and Wetiko going on all over the place. I see it. For some reason they don't. And I love everyone here too much to not tap you on the shoulder or put out something like this and say, hey, psst, that's misinformation. That's Wetiko fucking with you. I love you too much to not say anything. So I'm going to break all the rules of what it means to be a light worker. I'm going to become even more intolerant. I'm going to become even more outspoken because I love you. I don't want to take anyone down. I want to lift you up. And if you're chasing your tail, I cannot stand by and watch you do that anymore. You're too amazing. You are too fucking amazing for me to witness that anymore. Okay. All right. Deep breath. let me sip my tea. All right. So the way that we're going to do this is so I'm sitting there talking with Watika at 1 in the morning. I'm laughing. It's just like a funny conversation with like your friend of me, right? And I'm like, yeah, you're so good. I mean, you're like in there with so many people. And I identify unconsciousness in my own field, and I constantly am laughing at it. It's not something to get rid of, Wetiko. It's something to be aware of. So, yeah, anyway, we'll talk about that again. But so I'm talking with him, and he's like, you should just interview me and just, like, let me speak. And I'm like, oh, God. And then I'm laughing. I'm like, I'm not doing that. So, of course, human Jill that does some of her cares about what people think. Most of me doesn't. But there is a layer of Jill. She's probably about 8 years old. And she's like, no, people will misunderstand. And she had horrific visions of like parts of this podcast being totally contextually like raped, and the sections of me using Wetiko as a tool of information and learning, and that I'm saying it with my voice, and they're like, they're going to think I'm you, and it's going to ruin everything I've done, and no one will like me, and then I'm like, yeah, that could happen. You're right. That could happen. That people could edit out the context, the entire context of who I am, what I'm doing here, why I'm doing this, and just take the parts where my voice is being used, by unconsciousness to demonstrate a point of misunderstanding and a huge upgrade opportunity. You're exactly right, that could happen. So I just had to give her a hug and say, you know what, that is a possibility, but you know what, even if that happened, I'm pretty sure we're going to be okay. We've had shitty things happen to us before, and we're okay. And hey, it may even be a really interesting, possibly sadistic challenge to be for someone to try to defame us kind of that way, or disparage our name, or slander, or whatever. Yeah, we've got this. We can handle that if that happens. No worries. So I'm sitting there with Watika 1 a.m. in the morning. Everybody else in my house is asleep, laughing at this approach. And then I was reminded of Napoleon Hill. And a lot of you know about Napoleon Hill and Think and Grow Rich. We're going to get started soon here. Sorry, this is my show. I'll do it my way. So for those of you that are getting irritated that I'm not just like dumping this on you, please recognize this is not a drive-through and this is not McDonald's. All right? So if you don't like it, then leave. Okay, thank you. So Watika and I are having this conversation that Napoleon Hill, with Outwitting the Devil, did that very thing. And I was in a Master Heart / Mastermind group last year, and one of the recommended readings was Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. I didn't really like it so much, but I get it, why it's so attractive and such a best-selling book for years. I think second only to the Bible, I've heard. Anyway, I did have a high regard for Napoleon Hill and his approach. One of the other recommended books in that Master Heart series I did was Napoleon Hill's Outwitting the Devil, which is much less popular but had a much deeper effect on me. So I did the audiobook because then I can listen to it while I'm doing other things and getting ready in the morning and cleaning the house or whatever, doing other work. And I'm listening to Outwitting the Devil. It's a short book, and it's this fascinating dialogue between Napoleon and what he calls the devil. I don't believe in the devil, but what he called the devil, I call Wetiko. So he's having this conversation with the devil, and it was a bit, dramatic and for show, and it doesn't have to be that melodramatic in a way. But I get it, what he was doing, and what the devil, quote unquote, was saying and responding and outlining for Napoleon in his interview was very much in alignment with how I see some of the things that the devil was saying in this book were things I had been shown by my team about how things work in unconsciousness in the separation age. So my team was showing it to me, not obviously from the devil's perspective, but from the other angle of, oh yeah, this is what unconsciousness is. This is the dark age. This is what happens when you forget that you're God. All this nonsense. And this is how unconsciousness perpetuates and keeps ongoing, it seems, incessantly, and just causes this downward spiral individually and collectively as a human race. So to hear someone else basically say to me what I had heard from my team, and I didn't know anyone else knew, I got to admit, it was disheartening. I was so deflated by the time I got to the end of the book. I just remember standing there in my bathroom getting ready in the morning, and I was like, well, shit, that sucks. And Napoleon, because of my connection, was right there next to me, and he said, why do you feel that way? I said, because you just did it. You already did, by the way, decades ago, what I thought I was here to do. And my ego loves to be first, and I totally own that. I love to get things first. So my ego was like, well, damn it, if somebody's already doing it, then what the fuck am I here for? So I was totally bummed out. And he looked at me, and he came around, and he put his hand on my hand, obviously energetically, and he said, but a lot of people haven't heard this, Jill, and no one's heard it from you. And I was like, yeah, okay, that's fair. That's fair. No one will say it like I do. No one will get it like I do. And there's a lot of people that haven't heard it before, obviously, based on the outcome of what we're seeing, based on what we're seeing in the world, and maybe even what we're seeing in our personal lives. So I feel like I'm kind of taking up the baton from it relates to all of my work anyway, but I'm going to do it Napoleon style here by allowing Wetiko basically to be, I want to say, right alongside me in a chair right next to me, sharing from its perspective, there I called you it, neener, why we have frustration and what is going on from Watiko's vibration that's presenting that and what's perpetuating it. Because if we can't see that, if we want, number one, deny it's there, number two, wish it wasn't there, that prevents us from facing it. And preventing us, when we can't face it because we're in denial or delusion or just, whatever, we can't move forward, right? So this is another way of saying it's always the subconscious. And I think most of us know that it's the subconscious programs within us that subvert our progress. We can put Watiko's avatar on that most of the time. So let's come at this whole thing about the human race not being able to move forward in the ways that we envision. It's like, why isn't it working? We're doing all these amazing things. We're trying to do all the right things, but for some reason it just isn't getting the results that we expected, either globally as mass consciousness or even individually in our personal lives, okay? All right, so the reason I'm doing this is because I've seen those breakthroughs. I know what it's like to work with Watiko as almost like a frenemy in this reality where you do answer their texts because you want to know what the fuck they're up to, so you can engage with it, interact with it, and move beyond it, expand beyond it, okay? All right. Okay, so I talked about that. Good. The other thing I have to mention is the relationship of Watika to the Reptilians. Reptilians get a lot of airtime. Thank you, David Icke, for your presence in making Reptilians known. The problem is that there's another side to the story about Reptilians. Reptilians as a vibration of life that is, yes, slightly physical in this reality, but mainly non-physical is how we think of it, as some sort of like a super force, alien sort of life form that hates humanity, wants to take down humanity. The truth of the matter, the boldness of saying that, the truth of the matter is that we worked with the Reptilians in order to create this reality, and the concept of a dark age. So as curious source energy, we literally said, I wonder what it's like to forget that we're God. And it takes a lot of work when you are God to forget that you're God. I mean, imagine trying to plan amnesia. Now, in this reality, given that it is the dark age, there's probably a lot of ways that you can intentionally create amnesia. But this reality was set up in an amnesiatic, is that a word, format, what we call veiling when you are born, right? Okay, so reptilians are masters in a lot of different things, and we knew that they would have ingenious ideas for how to do this. And guess what? They did. Now, what's kind of sad to me is that actually it does piss me off, truly, that we've demonized the reptilian energy in this reality. We've put its face on Watiko, and that's actually not true. The unconsciousness that we hate so much within this reality was something we created. The reptilians created the opportunity and the structure for us to forget that we're God. What we did with it as humans was up to us. We filled in that hole. And we surprised ourselves, didn't we? So much so that we want to blame something else that feels so separate from our humanness that we can say, see, it's those effing reptilians. They totally effed us up. They make us do this. They make us do that. They're operating in this world leader. See, you can see their slanty little eyes. There's all this nonsense and distraction from what's really going on. The reptilians didn't cause any of that. All right? There's another vibration of reptilians that we worked with to help create this opportunity, this quarantine. I've talked about that before, all of this that's available in this reality. It's ingenious, and they helped us create this opportunity to forget that we're God. They helped us do it so well that sometimes we even feel stuck here, right? They're also very much a part of helping us, almost like the best engineer always creates a backdoor into the code. They're also assisting us and part of us in terms of the consciousness that is also creating the breakthrough codes and structure to bypass the quarantine, to remove the veils, which are inside of us, by the way, they're not outside of us, Okay, so veil removal, restoration of divine consciousness, a restoration of sovereignty that was the original blueprint of humanity was sovereign, a sovereign life form made in the image of God. That's real. That got into the religious text, amazingly enough. We totally screwed up what that meant, but that's okay. It was the Dark Age. We can remember now. So restoring our sovereignty, helping us reimagine what it can be to be human amidst a dark age. Now see, I too, even as Jill, even when I say it that way, to help us reimagine what it can mean to be a divine human amidst a dark age. What many of us have been chasing our tails over and spinning our wheels in is this idea that we have to wait for others to get it, that we can't be evolved unless everyone else is evolved too. So I get so frustrated when I hear about, or, from a client in a private session that hasn't yet been really familiar with my work, and I'm like, damn it, and they say, well, am I there yet? Am I done yet? Am I good? Am I ascended? Am I doing this right? All these great questions. I'm not disparaging anyone who is, and a lot of you have asked those questions in private sessions, and I see them asked all across, and I just feel it energetically, this underlying vibration of so many within spirituality and unconsciousness is, oh my God, I hope I'm doing this right. I hope I'm following this formula of such and such a teacher so well that I can be like them because they seem to have their shit together, but I don't feel like I have my shit together. That's what it looks like to me energetically anyway, is this, and that's the guru model, right? I'm less than, but they've got it. So I want to be like them. You can't be like them because you're you. And you are just as kick-ass as anyone else that you've looked up to in this reality or any other reality, including Archangel Michael, right? Okay. So what I want to share with you as clearly as possible is there is no there yet. All right? I'm sorry. It doesn't work like that. That image is kind of like, is this real? Are we close to this reality being 100% fixed? And so I don't have to look at any more pain, any more suffering in anyone else, nor do I have to see it in myself when I look in the mirror every day. We've done that version of ascension before, you guys. We aren't doing that this time. Up until probably 2 seconds ago, was embracing this idea that there was a parallel timeline of those that were trying to make it work that way. I think I'm done having hope that that's going to work because I really don't believe it's going to work. So it is more honoring from my human Jill perspective to characterize it as there is a group, and this is what I've been saying for years, there is a group here that's trying to create an ascension timeline, which is an ascension scenario where everybody wakes up and nobody's left behind, that everybody ascends, it's kumbaya, it's awesome, right? The reason that won't work is because of free will. So it is true that there is another timeline. It's parallel to this one, the one that I'm on, and wanting to make you aware of. So maybe you'll jump timelines with me because it works so well. That other timeline, what's happening is there's a lot of exhaustion, there's a lot of frustration, and there's a lot of talking. A lot of talking about, well, yep, we're almost there, and it's so exciting. And there's a lot of excuses about why something isn't happening well yet. Well, we don't have full disclosure yet. Those aliens, they keep missing their window of opportunity, and they keep forgetting to show up on the fucking White House lawn to wake everybody up. I hate to tell you this. Actually, I love to tell you this. Even aliens landing on the White House lawn in a full spaceship, just like you imagine, would not have the effect that you think it will. It just won't. And an interesting parallel that Watika pointed out last night is that, there's this resurgence right now of this O.J. Simpson and Nicole Brown and Goldman. Oh, God, I have to remember his first name. Oh, what is your name, Goldman? Anyway, Mr. Goldman, that was also murdered in that event. There was so much evidence, and Watiko's just smiling at this. There was more than enough evidence for a logical person to be able to say, oh, Jay totally did this. He totally did this. But given the legal system and given all the ways that we want to make sure we don't falsely convict somebody, he walked out free. So to some of us, we looked at the evidence and we're like, there's no way they're gonna say not guilty. That's impossible. There's no way. There's no way they won't get it. Guess what? 10 out of 12 of them did not get it. They didn't see it the way that we do. And they're very intelligent, very rational, very, responsible citizens saying, you know what? There's a reasonable doubt here because of the racist investigator and this racist cop, and this could have been planted. So even though you say you've got all this evidence, I don't believe you. And that is exactly what will happen in a certain scenario if the aliens do decide to land on the White House lawn. So even that wouldn't be enough. So we've got to find another way. We have to. And that's, I know what I've been doing, because when I first heard that there was a group, literally, of enlightened conscious beings saying, we just need to wait for full disclosure, and then everything will be better. And I'm exaggerating. I do use sarcasm quite often. That's probably one of them. But something to that effect. The full disclosure community hangs a lot of weight on the event of some huge official saying, yep, this is true, or mass media presenting it and everybody going, oh my God, I get it. Like this huge light wave and everybody wakes up. No. No. There's other examples too with the 9/11 towers and the spike and the heart math research related to 9/11, and there's a whole bunch of consistent delusion that continues on. So even full disclosure, folks, it's not going to have the effect that you want. So then what are you going to do, right? Are you really going to wait for that any longer? Please don't. Dear God, please don't. And number two, even if it does happen, it's not going to have the effect you want. So why waste time waiting for something? Time is a valuable resource here. We created linear time for our advantage, not for our disadvantage. So wasting time waiting for something to happen when there's a whole other approach that we've created, right? Okay, let's relax our shoulders, and I need to take a breath. Oh. Watika just slid up to me, next to me, and he's like, and I haven't spoken yet either. Thank you. You're right. Okay, I appreciate that. Hogging the microphone here. Okay, so I'm just going to ask then, why aren't we there yet? Because you don't know there is a there, and you don't know that there is no yet. I got to adjust into this different mode here. All of these different plans that put the event, which is the remembering of your light of God, on something in the future gives me a huge opportunity to totally screw it up. Whenever you wait and say, I don't have what I need yet, you're lying to yourself. So it gives me a huge opportunity to completely subvert and confuse you and derail all of your beautiful intentions, because I will totally feed on that, and I'll work with your mind, and I'll work with your logic, and I'll work with your sense of rationality and responsibility, and I love to work with your sense of savior and rescuer and I want to say superiority that will, the rest of humanity can't get it, so I'll have to do it for them. So let's talk about elitism for a minute, because this is my favorite type of person to mess with. Whenever one of you has an orientation, an energy field of, I know better than so-and-so, or that group is unintelligent, they're unconsciousness, I need to work harder because they don't get it. And there's an orientation, a flavor, an essence of superiority. Oh, I've got you right where I want you. Because you are dishonoring your fellow human for very valid reasons. You don't like what they're choosing to be. You don't like it that they're not choosing to wake up. You don't like it that they're choosing to not see what you see. But what you're not doing is choosing to see them and love them exactly what they are, which is what your sovereignty tells you to do. Your natural state as your higher self wants and is nothing but honoring of all other forms of life exactly where they are. That's unconditional love. So when you are in a state of superiority, elitism, false sense of leadership, like everybody will follow me, what if no one follows you? What if the group that's following you now is also under the delusional spell that there's no other way forward but the one that you know? Okay, now, Jill, I'm going to push you off to the side just for a minute so I can embrace the ego for a second, because that was pretty harsh, and I don't normally talk that way. Not like that anyway. Okay, so I'm just giving your ego a big hug. I want to point out what I see, which is the beautiful intention. You want to help other people because you know that you know things that they don't know, and I love that about you. I love that you see the disparity and the gap of information and wisdom and knowledge, and what Watika is pointing out is the sense of self-righteousness that allows him to play into that hand, which is out of alignment with your sovereignty. That's his biggest opportunity, is whenever you are out of alignment with your sovereignty, looking at your fellow humans as less than, it creates an opening for him. Okay? We, as humans, create a lot of openings for Wetiko through a lot of normal, kind of everyday ways of looking at ourselves, ways of looking at others, and that's what I'm going to be doing, is helping us see those so that we can see another way to do it, okay? So if the before is, yeah, I know a lot of stuff most people don't know, and I can't wait for them to know it. There is a lot of love there. I get it. You want what's best for other people. It's how you're doing it that's causing the dysfunction. It's how you're doing it that's causing the separation from your sovereignty, because your sovereignty, that's not their position. That's your human ego position, and it's out of alignment with your godliness. Okay? Your godliness and the godliness, the higher self essence of all of those other individuals that you're so worried about, isn't looking at them that way. Their higher self energy is like, oh, I'm still forgetting. Forgetting is so weird. Life on Earth, a human incarnation on Earth amidst a dark age system is such a trip. Look at what I'm doing over here. Oh my God. Yeah. Oh, I love me. Look at me. I love me. There's no, oh my God, I've got to fix this. Oh shit. There I go again. Forgetting. Stop me quick. So the higher selves of these other individuals that you so deeply, lovingly want to fix and adjust and help them get it, their higher self isn't feeling that way. So why are you? I know why you are. Because your storyline and what you are about and the movement or cause or activism that you have identified with as your human is about rescuing others and about fixing this place for the sake of others, for the benefit of others. But the thing is, if they're not asking for you to fix it, then you could be fixing a lot and they don't care. Now, we have examples of this all over the place. Altruism, donations, causes. There's so many ways that really, really kind-hearted, beautiful people go really out of their way to make things better for somebody, and it doesn't have the effect on that other person that they hoped it would, and even that they thought it should. Okay? And we can rationalize that all day long, right? And we can still choose to be very altruistic, and there's nothing wrong with that. I am asking us to be more pragmatic about, did it have the effect you wanted it to? And if not, will you do it differently in the future? Will you treat the situation of wanting to help somebody else or fix someone else, a lower vibe version of it, will you learn from the situation so that you can use your time more valuably and perhaps more productively in this reality going forward? That's a big question, isn't it? Okay, Wetiko, sorry. Didn't like the way you did that, so but I heard what you said. Okay, so that's the confusion about, are we there yet? The other part, whenever you put something in the future, and I know this is cliche, but it takes you out of your present, and your power is in your presence. So there's nothing wrong with wanting things in the future. The opportunity for Wetiko, me, is when you delay your well-being and step out of your sovereignty, step out of your joy, step out of your divine empowerment and your divine authority, that divine authority is your birthright. And the fact that you don't know it is what keeps me alive. I'm going to say that again. Your divine authority and sovereignty is yours. And whenever you don't know it, it's an opportunity for me, as Wetiko, as unconsciousness, to get in your field and play with your ego, your arrogance, your insecurities, your doubt, everything, your distrust of yourself and distrust of others, your jealousy. It's all over the board. Everything that people go to therapy for is related to Wetiko. Everything about what somebody goes to therapy for is related to someone not owning their sovereignty because they didn't know how, didn't know it was possible, and don't have an example of it. You have examples of it, you're just not looking at it. Jill's an example of it. All right? That doesn't mean she's perfect, but she's a hell of a lot better version of herself than she was 5 years ago, and a way better version of herself than she was 10 years ago. She's figured a lot of shit out, but it's not by following other teachers. It's by following her own trust system of what it means to be sovereign. And if that's true, her version of sovereignty, her value of godliness in this reality, she's looking for something that she's not seeing in this reality. That offers her an opportunity to be a unique representation of her soul signature. So that's another game that I love that you play, is when you're constantly looking outside of yourself for an answer and for a better version of you outside of yourself. You know that makes no sense. Looking for a better version of you out there makes no sense. It makes zero sense. And I'm making Jill uncomfortable again. Yes, you are. Okay, I don't like how you do this. This is why I don't do this. Okay, so what we mean is that whenever you are disenfranchising yourself and saying, someone else must have a better version of me for me, you are stepping out of your sovereignty and looking every other place but where you really should be, which is within yourself. That divine energy, that divine orientation is within you. There's probably a whole litany of patterns that you've created for yourself to justify why you keep going out there in the world, outside of yourself, with your 5 human senses, which are all pointed outward. Have you noticed that? Every single 5 human sense, every single human sense of the 5 is pointed outward. Again, the Reptilians are just giving me a high five, like, yeah, we did that. For the dark age, for the separation age, to be functional, we had to be disconnected from ourselves. So how perfect that the standard issued equipment in the 5 human senses points everywhere but inside. I'm frustrated because it's almost like we did it too well, right? Okay. So, all right. So it's totally understandable why if you're in a pattern of doing that, why you do that. But I'm asking you to really, really notice when you're doing it from now on. And I really encourage you to laugh at yourself. That has worked so well for me versus, beating myself up and taking out a ruler and whacking my hand saying, you idiot, what are you doing? It's better just go, oh my God, I did it again. That's so funny. I keep doing that. And then you can laugh at yourself. Then you stay lighthearted. When we stay lighthearted, think about the ingenious term, lighthearted, light within our hearts. That opens us up to our sovereignty because, as I mentioned earlier, our higher self isn't saying, you idiot, what are you doing, right? But our egos do, thanks to Wetiko. Little shit. I know we created you, but I hate you sometimes. Okay, so light within, when you stay in that light within, you're not beating yourself up. Your higher self is not saying, you idiot. What your higher self is saying is, in the midst of unconsciousness, that's what I'm choosing to do. Because I don't know any better. It'll be interesting. I was going to say, I hope I know better. But your higher self may not even be saying that. Your higher self may be saying, I wonder if I'll ever know another way to do this, so I'm not banging my head against the wall, so I'm not feeling like I'm taking 3 steps forward and 2 steps back. What I can guarantee you is whatever you've been trying, if it hasn't been working, please stop doing it. It doesn't make sense to try the same way over and over and over again, expecting to get a different result. So what I like to do when something isn't working is to just totally pause everything, notice my tendencies to want to try it again when I know I'm not going to get any better response from myself than I did before. I like to pause, slow it down, and say, okay, what dramatically different can I do in this moment right now instead of what I normally do to just see what happens? Because I know I'm going to get a different response. It's like the more radically different it was than it was before, then probably the more, I would say, enchanting the result could be. Knowing that you are sovereignty no matter what you do and no matter what you don't do. You can't break the light of God that you are in this world. You just can't. And Watiko's like, damn it, I wasn't going to tell him that. Ha, ha, ha. That's why I'm here. Okay, so that is related to Are We There Yet? Which stretched out the timeline. The other game that's being played unwittingly within consciousness and enlightenment communities that I want Watiko to weigh in on is there enough of us? And okay, go ahead. This is one of my favorites. Is there enough of us? Because it keeps you in a rescuing mode. It keeps you, like shouting louder and louder and louder, some of you, so that more and more get it, so that your numbers increase, as if that makes a difference. It doesn't make a difference. It doesn't matter how many of you there are. This isn't a numbers game, and Ascension is not a democracy. It doesn't matter how many get it. The light vibration on this planet is individually based, not collectively based. Jesus is an example of this. Buddha is an example of this. There are many, many masters of light that demonstrated this. That one oneness, one being, can and does affect the overall vibration of humanity. It doesn't, I know it defies your mathematical configuration in this world, but the wattage of one light bulb matters so much more than the individual collective wattages of a whole bunch of very dimly lit bulbs. And I don't mean that in terms of lack of intelligence. I mean that in terms of lack of sovereignty that's being chosen to be embodied within the vast majority of humans because they don't know that's the option. They don't know that's the option because of the veiling, right? Okay. Let's relax our shoulders here. I have a sick feeling in my stomach. That's interesting. Because I feel like some of you don't like this, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that because stuff needs to be said. All right. Okay, and I will open it up for questions in about 5 minutes. There's I could spend years going on and on about individual situations of misunderstandings and misinformation, and I will, I'll tell you. Okay, so I created, anyway, I knew this would be an ongoing thing. I knew it would be helpful to have Watiko engaged in various layers of the matrix. So that's what we'll be doing in an ongoing series called Outwitting Wetiko, Know Your Enemy. I feel like it's for those of us as leaders within, I want to say, the movement of ascension, human ascension and consciousness. It's also very relevant to any individual that's just trying to be their best self in this reality, whether that means effective, authentic, sustainable light being held within your humanness, whether that means knowing your personal ascension is solid and making that real going forward in your everyday life, not just in spiritual online communities, but in your actual day-to-day interactions, like with neighbors and shit. That's when it matters. Okay. Gosh, I was sarcastic right there. I totally own that. I get so impatient, you guys, because we can do so much better. And I know we want to do better. So, okay. Okay. Let's see where else I want to go with this. Okay. Yeah, I do want to go there. Let me just settle in for a second and see how I want to do that. Okay. Okay, so we addressed the Are We There Yet? We addressed full disclosure. Whenever you find yourself saying, it's going to be so good, my response back to you as Jill would be, why isn't it good now? In other words, why are you choosing? I know why, because it's unconscious, but I'm still going to ask it as a rhetorical question. Why are you choosing to not have it be fucking amazing right now? What is that? What is that thing that you think you need before it can be great? And I guarantee you, Watiko's signature is all over that nonsense. It's not real. That exception to why you can't be great now, that reason, that excuse, it's not real. It's not real. I feel some of you just like crying right now. Not crying out of sadness, but crying out of like relief and release and possibly resignation that it's like, I know, it didn't work. Okay, good. I'm good. Okay, it's good. It's going to be good. It is going to be good because this delaying your satisfaction is keeping you out of your sovereignty. And I see your sovereignty, you guys. You can't get here without it, by the way. Your sovereignty is actually what is constantly urging you to be your best self. Where it gets messed up is with all the different mistruths and misinformation and misunderstandings within whatever communities you're hanging out in that are perpetuating this belief that you're not there yet, right? So one fundamental thing, and I've talked about this and other things before, so my regular peeps will already know this, but maybe we'll put another spin on it so you'll hear it at another level because it's so fundamental. There is this misconception, it's a flat-out lie, that the 3D will go away and that the 3D has to go away in order for ascension, okay? It's not being done that way. And again, this is one of those things where I had, for myself, felt more comfortable trying to explain it as some are trying to do it where the 3D goes away. That's going to be fun to see. I'm so over playing nice on that because I know it's nonsense and I refuse to avoid calling it. I'm going to just flat out call it nonsense. It doesn't work. You can't have the 5D without the 3D. And the biggest, I want to say, evidence of this nonsense playing out in possibly your everyday life is when you say, I think I'm there and I'm doing great, and then I'm mean to somebody, or then I'm mad at myself, or then I get frustrated, or then I get insecure again. And what you're saying to yourself in that notion is, I must not be there yet. Because, oh, well, hello, Smokey. Come on in. Hi. Come on up. You can come up here. The sense is, if I were as far along as I should be or could be or want to be, I wouldn't be getting mad anymore. I wouldn't be being insecure anymore. I wouldn't be that I don't like. Okay? But the real situation is that those vibrations of unconsciousness, whether it's anger, sadness, insecurity, jealousy, all the ones we talked about before, those don't go away. They just become like a choice that you just don't make. When you are really in your sovereignty and when you are totally honoring your human field in, I want to say, a functional way that keeps you out of those lower vibrations, not because they went away. Notice it's kind of childlike in a way for someone to say, well, it's like taking the knives away from the children. They could hurt themselves, right? There's something about this, what I call false ascension, that pisses me off because the sense is, well, the 3D is going away. Like, oh, thank God, we don't have to worry about being mature, responsible, strong in our light because it's going to be taken away as an option, so we won't even have to worry about it. No. When you are the kick-ass master of light, ninja, light god warrior that you are, which I described at the beginning, that I know I am, and I know you are. I know you are. I have zero hesitation about that. And Watiko's like, I'm so screwed that she just said that. Yes, you're screwed, brother. We are not hanging out with you nearly as much anymore. Maybe just as friends like I do. Okay. to help me, give me perspective about what the fuck is going on in this reality. Okay. So what's happening is that what really is happening is that we don't have to take the knives away from us because we're not children. The option for insecurity, jealousy, anger, whatever the case may be, all of those unconscious energy forms that are available to humanity because we created them when we were unconscious, when we were forgetting that we're God, we don't have to lock those up like a gun in a safe. We can still interact with those because they're still being chosen by the other humans that are here. So we can't lock them up because they're still being animated by the unconscious but free will that most of humanity is functioning from. So yes, we're still going to have the option of being a grumpy bitch when we allow ourselves to be. Now, I've learned for myself since October 2015 that my biggest culprit of being a grumpy bitch versus loving and bitchy, which is maybe how I would be described right now, is unconsciously bitchy is related to food. Your field is so affected by what you eat and what you drink, and we cannot get away from that. So I don't care how much meditation or enlightenment, practices somebody has. If they eat like shit, they're going to feel like shit, and they're going to say and do things that they don't know why they're doing it in an unconscious manner. And until you own it, take responsibility for it, and stop walking around saying, but I thought those knives were going to be taken away from me. No, they're not. So you've got to take responsibility for yourself, okay? I know you. I see you. You can do this, all right? You can do this. You're not a child. You don't need the knives put away. You just need to be strong enough in your sovereignty and in your light and in your energy field and all layers of your energy field, your nutritional field, your emotional field, all of it, your relationship with Watika and your ability to laugh at it when you see it versus run and hide and think, oh my God, somebody's going to take my healing certificate away because I was a bitch right there. No. Watika still offered, and you may choose it, and you can laugh at yourself, and then please own it and say, I'm sorry, I can't believe I just did that. Wow. Even if it was a year ago. Do you remember a year ago? I was feeling so good, and then something you said just made me really angry, and that was so ridiculous that I got angry at you and that I went off on you. I am so sorry. I don't know what came over me, but I'm choosing now to take more responsibility for it, and yeah, I hope that never happens again. I love you, and I hope you can forgive me. All right? That's what maturity looks like, right? That's what valuing yourself enough to see yourself in all of your layers, own them, not to judge yourself, but to accept the fact that this is a really, really weird place to be. Earth is a very, very strange reality amidst its dark age options. Yeah, okay? All right, this is like the tip of the iceberg. For anyone that has never heard anything else that I've said, please know there's hundreds, literally hundreds, of podcasts and videos on YouTube, and there's books I've done and classes I offer that are all around these themes. So I'm not just going to, kind of flick you off your little paper horse there and just leave you hanging. This, for many of you, you already know that you've got a really sturdy steed there that you're riding on, and it's your sovereignty. But for anyone that's feeling really vulnerable, like, oh my gosh, I've never had any spiritual teacher talk to me this way. Maybe that's why you're feeling as vulnerable as you are. Maybe that's why you're not feeling strong in your light. I realized very early on when, especially in private sessions, when I'm meeting with somebody that actually is a peer in the industry and they don't see themselves, the way that I do it, I know you are a master, and that's what I'm looking for. I have yet really to meet a fellow spiritual teacher that does similar work to mine that is looking for your mastery. Most of them are looking for what's messed up so that they can sell you stuff. It's not that, because I do believe I know that they have good intentions. It's so that they can help you. Let me help you with this. But it's also most of the time coming from a truth system that spiritual messenger has. Oh man, I can't believe I'm going here. I'm not going to make friends today. Oh shit. I don't want to say this. Okay, here's what I see energetically when I look at the vast majority of spiritual teachers, spiritual messengers, whatever you call them, gurus. They know that somehow their sovereignty is really readily accessible to them. And they don't know why it's not accessible to their audience or to their clients, to their students. They know they have skills to help them, but they also see that there's this gap. So what I see energetically underneath all that is, let me help them become a master. So their intelligence and rationalization of the lack of mastery being demonstrated is, oh, they must not have their mastery like I do. Maybe I can help them in this reality become a master so that they can feel like I do, because I feel great. I want them to feel great. Okay, there's a whole nother way to do this, and that's the way that I do it, which is, oh, I totally get it, that I totally feel my mastery, and I feel like one of the very few that feels their mastery. But they are masters, right? And my team said, yeah, they're all masters. I'm like, well, why don't they know their mastery? And this was years ago. This was like in the very first year of my awakening. I'm like, why don't they see their mastery? These are people that have their own podcasts. I didn't even have a podcast then when this came up. I said, why don't they see their mastery? And they said, no one is showing them that it's already there. And I was like, well, that's messed up. And they said, what about you? And I said, oh, I'll totally do that. I completely sign up. I'll put my name all over that one to help humanity see its mastery. Because I get it. I totally get it. That this reality has been set up to help us forget that we're God, which means help us forget that we're masterful, that we are mastery, even when it doesn't look that way in this reality. So there's no way I'm going to begin to treat you as somebody that, oh, well, we're going to start a kindergarten and let's see how far you can go. You're not ready for the big kid stuff. Fuck that. I see your mastery, even if you don't see it. So I'm going to do everything I can to treat you as the master that you are, whether you ask me to do it or not, consciously. All right? This is what pisses Watika off, because he knows that I have worked with so many beings at this point that all of a sudden they're not interested in calling into all the telesummits and listening to all these other speakers, because they know they're the bomb. They know they've got their shit together. Even if their human life isn't all pretty and figured out, they know they are not chasing their sovereignty anymore. They know that their sovereignty is within them, and that's what we work on. That's what we strengthen. And at some point, they don't need me like they did before, because they're working with their own team. Possibly not in the same way I do. We're all individuals. We're all unique representations of God, and not everybody wants to, chatter with their team all day like I do. But I know you think you do, but I know you don't. So that accessing your sovereignty is available to every single human. Every single human. So this nonsense game that I see going on within spirituality of teaching mastery versus remembering your mastery, that's why I call them remembering workshops, is all these experiences I create to help you see the mastery that is there. You don't need anything new. You're not on earth because you weren't good enough to stay in heaven. That I will keep saying that maybe until no one needs to hear it anymore. But you know what? We've got supposedly about 7 billion people on the planet. So I think I'm going to be pretty busy. And that's okay, because I love what I do, because I love seeing the breakthroughs. And I hope that what we did today was an amazing breakthrough. It was a completely different approach than I've ever done before. I'm glad we did it. I am still slightly queasy, but we'll see how this goes. All right? Okay, Watika, high five. Thank you very much. Let's spend some time with Q&A here. And if you are on the phone, you can click *2 to raise your hand. Okay. Oh, you guys are so good. Okay, I'm going to do Susie's. Hey, Susie, I think we've met. You're in Ketchum. Okay. She says, so what's the difference between honoring where someone is on their path and speaking up when you see them making a mistake? Oh, God, this is so important. And see, Susie, this is what I'm trying to figure out right next to you, right? Because all these years I've been just keeping it quiet, just smiling, going, oh, yep, I don't think they see the mistake they're making there. It is a mistake, by the way. It's a mistake by definition. When somebody is behaving in a way or thinking in a way or acting in a way that I'm doing this because I want that. And yet what they want doesn't match what they're doing or what they're thinking or what they're, I want to say, espousing or evangelizing even. It doesn't match. So when I think those of you that know me know that I don't share what I share based on research I've done humanly. But what I do casually, and I really think this was the impetus for this entire fireworks fest that we just had here, of me just spewing off, which is kind of what it felt like for me as Jill, is that somebody invited me onto their show. There was something that happened recently, and somebody said, hey, contact me in about 3 weeks, and I'd love to have you on my show. And I was like, wait, that's a pretty big show. I wonder, what do they do there? So then I go to check it out, because I don't do that stuff normally. I don't listen to other people's stuff because I've got my own stuff, and I don't want to wonder whether the stuff I share is from somebody else. And I go, oh, God, I hope that was from my team. It sounded a lot like what I heard so-and-so say last week. Anyway, so that's one of the reasons I do it. I don't research, and the reason I do it my way is to keep myself in integrity, because in my free time, I listen to health and wellness podcasts. Dave Asprey, Abel James, Mike Mutzel. I'm a health geek at this point. And it's working, by the way. And those of you that are in the mindingthematter.net series I'm doing we're just totally kicking ass. Okay, woohoo! Anyway, so I was invited onto, casual kind of, hey, call me and we'll get you on the show. So no official invitation, but I am excited. They've got a huge listenership relative to what I normally have access to with my speaking invitations that I'm invited to. Anyway, so I checked them out, and I was like, oh, who are the creators? Where do they sit? What are their truth systems? How do they identify? What timeline are they on? And I'm listening to this interview, and my heart just sinks. And I'm like, oh, fuck. I mean, because I was so excited, and I'm still excited, and I don't know whether I'm going to say yes or no if the invitation actually comes through. But I'm listening to this they were being interviewed, the creators, and I'm listening to just the stuff I just, personally as Jill, I'm super opinionated, and I just hated the entire conversation. I hated there was an orientation of full disclosure. There was the whole bullshit about, all the kids today waking up, they get it. They're all crystal and rainbow children. I hate that stuff. Do these people not hang out in elementary schools like I do? There's just as much unconsciousness there. There are beings on the planet that are still literally incarnating to forget that they're God. They have no intention. They're not here to awaken, you guys. That idea, number one, it holds us back. Number two, it's a total, thank God for the kids, because we're totally fucked up. At least the kids are better than we are. Where does that put you as an adult then? Right? You're totally disempowered, hoping the kids are going to fix it because we couldn't. Makes me want to pull my hair out. Oh my God. So there was that version of bullshit nonsense. And then there was something else. I just couldn't even listen to the rest of it. I'm just like, oh my God. And I don't know whether to cry or laugh or what, but I'm just like, this is one of the most popular podcasts and go-to source of information, and this is the best. Wow. And I love them. I love them exactly as they are. I'm just disappointed. I get disappointed a lot. Okay, so what's the difference? My difference, Susie, that I use is, do I think it'll make a difference? And what I've decided, since, again, with this potential invitation that may come through to be on the show, I don't know how I'm going to handle it, because most of those folks that are in that mindset of we're the experts, that's why we have shows, and let's invite so-and-so on to perpetuate our truth system, most of the time they can't hear me. It is so funny when I'm interviewed by some of these people that are locked on and they really think they're going to have me on and I'm just going to tell the whole storyline, and I throw out all these totally countering opinions and they don't know what the fuck to do with me, and I think it's so funny. I'm not trying to mess with them. And Watika's laughing. He's like, maybe you are a little bit, maybe a little bit. But I'm doing it so that maybe I'll chink at that armor of bullshit so that they can actually see the sovereignty within them that's already there. And that so that they can start seeing it in their individuals. I was also interviewed recently, and we were debating about how that information was going to come through. And I'm sorry if you're listening and this hurts your feelings. I'm not saying it to hurt your feelings. I'm saying it to prove a point. I responded back to this person that I didn't like the way that the information was transcribed because I can't even remember what I said. I'm happy to show you guys the email if you ever want me to show you, I will. But it was something about, you're kind of making it seem like I have my abilities because of my childhood and my upbringing, but that's not why I can do what I can do. The reason I am what I am and I can do what I can do is because I embrace the fucking sovereignty I knew I was, and I know that I am, and I know that I can't break in this reality. So, yes, I mess up, but I'm not like, I must not be ascended yet. I must not be approved by my team yet. I must not have gotten my gold fucking star from the angels that I'm worthy and valuable. So I said that in a nicer way, and the person's response totally, again, disappointment. She said, our audience probably wouldn't know what to do with what you're describing. And, of course, my thought is, well, then isn't that exactly why you should do it? I knew this woman, Reverend Rhonda Smith. She passed on in April of 2015. And she had an amazing podcast, by the way, Awake Now What? And I just have so much honor for that woman, and she was one of the ones that helped me see, she wasn't embracing her sovereignty, and she was totally kick-ass, this amazing leader, very fierce, all these things, but there were many ways she denied her sovereignty, and she's agreeing with me right now. She, in our just personal conversations off air, just checking in with each other, seeing how things are going with each other, she said, but Jill, you have to meet your audience where they are. And I said, no, the fuck I don't. I'm not here for that. That delays the whole show. By meeting them where they are, they don't move as fast forward. If I see a completely different version of what humanity can be, I don't want to meet somebody where they are. They're already a master. This linear approach of K through 12 nonsense is just ridiculous. All we have to do is see their mastery, demonstrate their mastery, and nurture the mastery that's already there. And if they choose to believe it, great. If they don't, that's fine too. There's nothing broken. But if they're waving their hands saying, hey, I want ascension, there's no way I'm going to meet them where they are. No, I'm not here for that. Gosh, I'm getting really fiery. Watika's liking it. Me too, actually. Okay. Okay, all right. So, Susie, I don't just spout off when I'm pretty sure somebody's pretty locked in and complete and feeling really good about themselves where they are. Where I'm more likely to pipe up is in a forum that I set up like this, right? So would I go on as a guest on somebody's show and say they're fucked up? No, I actually wouldn't. I find really, really diplomatic, honoring ways of saying, another way to look at this is this. And that way they're given the choice, which is real, and I want to honor the choice that they can stay exactly where they are. But I'm now becoming more bold about helping them see the potential weaknesses of the approach that they've been dedicated to. Okay, so there is no cut and dry way to do this, and Okay, so Susie continues here. If you were energetically asked to see something in a person by that person, is it right to tell them in this physical world, not just answer them energetically back? Are you in your sovereignty to do so? Ooh, this is a very good question. I see what you're saying. So what I imagine, Susie, that you're saying is, if on a metaphysical level, like in dream time, or those of us that we just have this connection to people outside of an actual physical phone call, we can feel somebody saying, God, I really want your help with this. They're on an energetic level, I would respond. And what I would say to them is, if you want your human to hear this, you're going to need to get your human to call me, though, and book a session or whatever you're set up to do, Susie. But there are ways that we can work on the energetic levels. But what I find myself doing even today, your higher self knew all of what we talked about today. But what also happened is the reason you individually are here is because at some point you as your higher self said, this part isn't working. Can we please get an update? Let's create another way to do this. And what we do is we strategize at Galactic Council meetings of, okay, yeah, you're right. That's not working the way we thought it would. Oh, let's try it this way. Let's try it that way. I love to be I totally am all over those strategic. I mean, I was a strategic planner in my humanness when I was in corporate. Isn't that funny? I love to be like, okay, what do we want to do? What is the company, what are we offering? How can we do that? Oh, God, we could be totally disruptive if we do it this way, in a good, positive, disruptive sort of way. So that I'm so about that on a soul signature level, on a human level, all levels of me. So I geek out on that in Galactic Council meetings, too. I'm like, yeah, you're right. I remember hearing a few years ago from some really well-regarded, and I regard them as teachers. I remember, somebody put a book out saying why the 3D is going away, and I was like, that's not going to happen. That's not going to work. But that's going to be interesting to watch to see how that goes. I don't think it's going well because it's not happening. It doesn't set up that way. You can't have the number 5 without the number 3. That's just cosmic math. I'm sorry. It's human math, too, by the way. So this all goes together. So this Galactic Council meeting strategy session, we came up with all these different plans. But for any of us in our humanness that are in this, what Watika was describing earlier, elitist, yeah, I've got it all figured out, I know everything, and yeah, we're not getting the results yet, but that's because this, and this hasn't happened yet, so once those happen, then we're good. So talk to your neighbors, get them to wake up, get out there, get the whole world to wake up, and then we'll get what we want. Right? And meanwhile, I'm kind of knocking at their door saying, I don't think that's working. And what I hear some people saying now in 2016 is exactly what they said when I was starting to wake up in 2009. And I'm just talking, energetically, when I tap in collectively, not doing human research as Jill, I'm like, yeah, they're still saying we're almost there. I'm impatient by nature, so that's a good thing. I'm like, yeah, I don't want to wait. We don't have to wait. Claim your mastery right now. So we came up with all these other subversive, which he goes like, damn, they are subversive, ways to hijack the unconsciousness codes and restore our mastery at like a moment's notice. And then we need to retrain our human how to live that way and how to get out of the patterns of chasing sovereignty, which don't work because it's not real. Okay. Oh, so Susie's other kind of layer to the question, are you in your sovereignty to do so? Oh, okay. So this is an important part because I think for some of us, we're so lovingly, and this is very wise, to be like, wait, am I overstepping my bounds if I do this? And what my team showed me years ago when I was like, am I stepping my bounds by saying this? They're like, Jill, they still have authority over whether they hear you or not, right? I mean, the OJ trial, again, is another example. Marcia Clark, Chris Darden, they didn't hold back in what they said. They can't control what the jury hears. You can't. So trust that free will is also engaged on whether somebody hears you or listens. We have this all the time. You guys, a community like this, right, where we're talking about something so expanded. So, I mean, if I have a conversation with most people about 9/11 and what really happened with the Twin Towers falling and Building 9 and yeah, that whole shit show, most people will be they'll just look at me like, what? It's almost like their robotic circuits are shutting down. And Watiko's just in there going, she just said that, right? Let's see what they do. It's like crickets. And then their next comment is something like, so cold today. It's like I didn't even say what I just said, and it's so amazing. So I have learned to really be amazingly impressed with what somebody will or won't hear. That is not your responsibility. We're responsible for what we say. We can't take responsibility for what someone hears or doesn't hear. So just like it's a stupid game, I can't believe I just said that, Watika. You're totally rubbing off on me. Just like it's a stupid game, in my opinion, when somebody says, well, that might hurt their feelings. Somebody just rang the doorbell. The dog will bark, and it's okay. I'm not going to answer the door, obviously. So whether someone's feelings are hurt is their choice. Now, I hope that we know that if somebody can say the meanest thing to us, it doesn't have to hurt our feelings. We can actually be totally intact hearing the most rude, the most insensitive, the most hateful thing. We can still be totally fine and go, wow, that's so weird. Maybe you didn't have your greens today for saying that you could say something so hateful and so unconscious. How sad, right? I feel bad for you, right? That you'd be so mean to me or whatever. So we do that, but then we take way too much responsibility when it comes to other people. So we're constantly like, and again, I hate to say it, Susie, there's a bit of elitism here, right? Well, I'm expanded, and I know I could take that news, but I don't know if they can handle that news, right? So I tend to not like to drop truth bombs in my everyday life. I would never just like give an impromptu reading like the Long Island medium does. I've watched her show once and I was horrified. I think she is really good, but I was like, God, I would never do it that way. But the thing is, she has great reactions, so it must be working for her, but I would never do it that way. I could get a lot of information about people on an everyday basis, but it's not my business. My daughter's teacher didn't ask me for a reading, so I don't even want to know energetically what her higher self has to say to her because she's not asking me to say it. So that's how I choose to work in that zone. Okay. Pam, thank you. She's saying, oh my God, I totally see the truth of what you're saying. Amanda, oh, I love you. Thank you. She's saying, I loved this call. It was very important to hear how he works in this reality. Will you address how unconsciousness is managing to exist even at 5D and what to do about it? Wow, I thought that 5D was only expansive conscious energies. Okay, thank you, Amanda, because that pulled me back exactly where I needed to be, which was I think, the teaser I used on the call. So thank you. I feel like a comrade just said, Jill, you said you were going to do this today and you haven't really done it yet. Thank you, Amanda. I appreciate that. Okay, so unconsciousness is managing to exist even at the 5D levels because, drumroll please, 3D still exists alongside it. So a lot of us that are super, super jazzed about having our own consciousness expanded into 5D and beyond, we're still like, wait a minute, I got pissed off this morning. I must not be in 5D. But, and I did kind of answer this, but I do want to do it more succinctly. The reason it's not happening the way most people expected, this 5D world, is because they didn't expect, because they were misinformed, and they chose to believe it. And if you're one of them, that's okay. I totally get why. It was a completely rational, intelligent thing. It was just wrong. So what was happening is there's all these expectations about, well, supposedly we're in 5D. I think we're there yet, like a child in the back of a car. But there's still this 3D stuff going on. So wait a minute, right? So the 3D, because it runs within 5D, is still an option, is still being chosen even by us. And what that means is there can be moments of choosing the 5D energy patterns and vibration, but still the option of 3D. There's a lot of things that we can do to shore up, if you will, our 5D essence and stability structure at the 5D levels. But there's not a lot of resources for that, which is why I do what I do, to help shore up not just 5D, but, oh God, we're way past 5D, you guys. I hate to get into numbers because it engages egos and brains and doubt and skepticism and prove it, and this is metaphysical. I just want to point out, this is a bit of another pet peeve of mine. Proof happens on the 5 human sensory level. When there is proof that can be validated by the present-day scientific method, it's already happened. It's like a lagging indicator. It's like already over. So how boring, right? So for those that are looking for proof, I hope you are patient, because it could be a while. Because things that start on the metaphysical level that are envisioned, which is non-physical to begin with, and then creator energy envisioning and then setting it in motion, and then it becomes a tangible outcome. By then it's already over. We're already moved on into something even better. So if you're waiting for proof, I hope you're patient. That's all I'm saying. Okay, so unconsciousness is managing to exist even at 5D in the realm or in the nature that 5D exists in this reality, okay? You guys, it isn't that different than in the higher realms. No, in the higher realms, there's a limitlessness to the dimensional range that actually many of us actually have here, but we don't give ourselves credit for it. It's confusing. We don't know what to do with it. We're trying to jam it into the 5 human senses, and it doesn't work that way, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But at the higher dimensions, they can know sadness, anger, frustration. It's just that there isn't the unconsciousness and the Watika going on at that level of limitlessness because their sovereignty is so solid and intact, and it hasn't been veiled by unconsciousness like a reality, like a quarantine in the Dark Age. Okay, so it's just different. So in the higher realms, it's not that there isn't 3D, it's that there isn't the structure to like mandate the 3D and the 4D, by the way. So it's just not as, how can I want to explain this better. This is a hard one. Metatron is coming in and we're both kind of noodling on this. I love metaphors. I'm trying to think of a really good one. It's just it's a whole system. So in this system, in the reality of Earth, this little subsystem, there's the quarantine, literally. So the vast majority of energy that we experience on an everyday basis as our human is within the third dimensional energy range. It's kind of like the visible spectrum of light. There is ultraviolet light, but you can't see it with the human eyes. But we happen to have the systems to be able to prove that it's there. Or sounds that a human can't hear that a dog can hear, for example. That's a good one. Thank you, Metatron. We've used that before, and it fit perfectly right here. So it's not that the sound isn't there, it's that the way that we are wired, we tend to be, because of the 5 human senses, more locked in on what's in the physical range of experiences that the 5 human senses are built for, okay? So when we expand into 5D, we're not letting go of our 5 human senses. We're still choosing to be human, yes? Hopefully your answer is an affirmative yes. Otherwise, there's a different problem that Watika uses to fuck with you. I'm not kidding. If you're disrespecting the fact that you're human and choosing to not be human anymore and wishing you weren't human, he's got your name, number, and he uses it all the time. And he's just sitting over here smiling and nodding, going, yep, it's true. I will use your humanity against you. If you don't know it's a gift, I will make it your curse because you're letting me. That's what he just said. God, you're good. Really, really good. Like in a sadistically impressed way. Ugh. Terror. Okay. But we're better. In our light and in our sovereignty, we're better. We're better. Okay. How unconsciousness is managing to exist even at 5D and what to do about it. Okay, let's jump to the what to do about it. That was actually the real explanation for the how. It is that simple. I don't like to make things more complex. I love Drunvalo Melchizedek. I haven't studied his work. What I'm saying, I love him as a soul signature. I hate how complex he makes things. I've done differential calculus and shit at the college level, and I still don't understand why anyone would want or need to make spirituality so fucking complex that you need like a PhD in whatever science to even understand what's going on there. And I hate Merkabahs. I hate Merkabahs. Spheres rule. God, I am so fired up today. Okay, and what to do about it? Okay, so what do we do about it? We recognize that 3D has no shame. All right? 3D serves a purpose and can be used for good, right? I love the way that I can experience the 3D world. The 3D world is the physical dimensions of Earth, right? There's a way to work with the 3D where it doesn't have to be your enemy. But see, when the truth system was, yeah, the 3D is going away, oh my God, it's still here, we haven't done enough, it's still there. It's kind of like a young child trying to run away from their shadow. Oh my God, it's still there. It's not supposed to be there anymore. We must be doing it wrong. No, the goal was just totally wrong. So it was wrong. Yeah, can't do it. Couldn't do it. Even the best laid plans. Doesn't matter how many books, how many speeches, how many meditations, how many activations. You cannot get rid of your 3D. And you don't need to. That's the good part. You don't need to. Okay. So what to do about it? What to do about it is to know it's there and to know it's not a problem. So then you begin to work with it. You begin to work with the 5D and beyond vibrations, the limitlessness of your sovereignty, while playing with the 3D and the 4D in a totally different way, right? It's totally different. And Watiko's just like, shit, she said it. I did say that. So, and I talk about this in my Living as Your Higher Self series, is that there's just, I mean, like, I get red lights too, but I'm not like, you know, honking my horn and shaking my fist most of the time. Sometimes I do because it just feels good to get pissed. There's a lot of really stupid drivers on my way to bring my daughter to school every day. So I just laugh at them like, oh my God, where do these people learn how to drive? It's just a four-way stop, people. I'm ready to get out there with a flagger suit and like give lessons. Now, did you know that you just have to, as long as you pull up when they pull up, you can go when they go. You don't have to wait for everybody to go before you go. It's not a round table. It's anyway, so my daughter laughs with me and we're like, oh my God, we'll just get there in our own way. So we can laugh at it, but I don't want to pretend it's not there anymore because that just didn't even feel real to me when I was just so enlightened. It didn't bother me. Nope, it still bothers me. I still have my 3D and 4D and I love it. It makes me much more real. It makes me way cooler. And I'm far more activated my divine light in this reality by being so. Yeah, because it all fits together. All those dimensional truths, the reality of the 3D, the reality of the 4D. And I do talk about those dimensional ranges, by the way, in the Living as Your Higher Self series as well. I don't think it's in my latest book. I don't think I put it in there. But eventually it'll show up in a book. I just don't like writing books that much. This is so much more fun for me. That's why. So that is the what to do about it, is to accept it, to embrace it, and to play with it from your base of light, not as an enemy that you need to take down, because you don't need to take it down. Okay. Oh, Precious. Precious in New York City. Oh, wait. Oh, I was like, Precious, that's a funny name. Like, wait, I know who you are. Hey there, mister. He's saying, thank you for showing me my mastery. Oh, brother, you're so welcome. I love you so much. Oh, I love you. Okay, good. So far, the responses are good. At least the ones that are still on the phone. Okay. I'm going to give a bit of a flippant answer, Dawn, and I know you, so I'm gonna keep being a bit of a pain in the ass to you. She's saying, how do I know when I'm in my sovereignty? You know when you don't have to ask the question. That's when you know. When you don't have to ask, am I in my sovereignty? Because you've decided that you've never been out of your sovereignty. That somehow, amidst everything you've ever been and everything you haven't been, that you are always sovereign. Always. In all ways. Even when you've been the most unconscious. It is unconsciousness and Wetiko that asks the question, how do I know when I'm in my sovereignty? That is my actual answer. When you don't need to ask, because you decide to claim your light as yours. That you're not only just worthy of it, you were never unworthy of it. Yeah, see how I turn everything on its head by intention. By intention. Okay. There's so many comments to read. Lise, I love you. It's like, thank you for being so fucking awesome. I am so fucking grateful to learn with you. The resonance I feel with your information is unlike anything I have experienced. I'm so elated to be on the planet with you. I feel with you. I have access to the tools to ease my ongoing evolution and stuckness. Kiss, hug, kiss, hug. P.S. The lovely waves of chills energy I get while listening to you is so unique and cool. It feels amazing and strange. I got the sick feeling in my stomach at the same time right about before you mentioned it. How can I do better? I seem to be stuck inactive more than I would like. As I listen, I feel spiritually bionic, though. LOL. I'd so love a personal session with you as soon as I can manifest it. Yes, amazing breakthrough. And yes, so queasy too. Yeah. By the way, there's a discount on private sessions right now through the end of April, so depending on when you're listening to this. But I think in store on my site, look at special discounts, and then I think they're there. So I'd love to meet with you too, Elise, because we haven't had a private session yet. Okay, so how we can do better, the main answer is trusting ourselves more. recognizing that some of the questions of how can I do better, just like what I said to Dawn, they come from unconsciousness. It comes from these beautiful, delicate, fragile layers of us that are so scared to be in human form, scared to be alongside the other humans that literally could take us out at any minute with any unconscious action. This is a scary place to be. It really is. And yet, it's also an amazing place to be. Again, that's how that 3D and that 5D rides right alongside. Snipers could come in and take me out easily. I don't have a fortress over here, right? I thought about that just the other week when I was like, we are totally going to fuck with the Matrix, like more and more and more. And I could easily be targeted. I'd be like, and take her out. She's screwing up our Wetiko bullshit game. We got to take her out. She's disrupting the field. And I'm like, you know what? That could happen. That could actually happen. And I really couldn't prevent it. But I don't feel like it's in my destiny. And I do feel safe. And I feel good. And I am, to most of those that would be concerned about someone, I'm just a light worker, quote unquote. So I'm good. I think I'm pretty good. All right. Okay. Okay. Ooh, I like this question, Jana, from Iowa. She's saying, can you talk about the best ways to bring the things that are unconscious within us into our consciousness? We can only make different choices after awareness. You are dead right, and I totally love you. That's a great question. Okay, so the best way to bring unconsciousness into consciousness is to allow your energy field to be wide, right? Wide, 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 wide. And that's why I do the meditations at the beginning, because it helps us like poof up like a pufferfish, our energy field to be bigger. Because your field of self-awareness has to be bigger than the unconsciousness. And this is where it's an advantage, because unconsciousness is little. It's compacted, tight, like a piece of paper that's been wadded up into the tiniest little ball, right? And what we are is we're the bigger energy field as our sovereignty that's limitless around that. So once you're operating from that bigger field, don't ask unconsciousness to see its unconsciousness. It can't. It just can't do it, right? But consciousness can. So luckily we've got both, and they run side by side. So one little trick is, and you're doing it in a way right now, because you're asking questions. You tap into your divine consciousness. The more curious you are, the more lighthearted you are, and the more playful you are, because that's how our higher self functioning system works. It's curious, it's playful, it's lighthearted, and it's always loving. Loving of self and loving of others. I like how we added that last part. That's important. That's true. So, yeah, loving yourself doesn't come easy to some of us because of programming and that fucking Wetiko. Damn you. Oh, okay, anyway. So we may have to work around a little bit and just be like, okay, but I don't love that part of myself, but some part of me must love myself. So get curious, ask curiosity questions. I wonder what my higher self would say about this. I love that. That's so good. God, I love that. That's so good. Oh, that's so good. Remember we talked about the engineering code and how the engineer will always create a backdoor. Well, I think, from what I understand, a good one would always create a backdoor into the code, again, if they need it, should they need it. And Medishan just said that's a wonderful backdoor code right there. I wonder what my higher self would say about this or thinks about this. And then what I do in all of my work is help you have that counterpoint of the role of your higher self. Its nature, its orientation, its energy field. That's what I do in the Living as Your Higher Self series, is help offer that. And I'll put that link on the show page. I don't actually have one of the Living as Your Higher Self series going right now, but I need to just put one like out there. That's not like a live event, but all in archives so that someone can purchase it and experience it, because that's why I did that series. Anyway, I'm going to drop the price too. Thank you. That feels good. I will do that. All right. So then you're right, because we need to be aware of it before we make different choices. So there's something I want to read to you guys. I know we're going way long, and I don't care. Let me see. Okay, for those of you that know me on Facebook, why did it just do that? I'm just looking at Watika. I'm like, are you messing with me? Okay, so go on to my personal page, which is Jill Renee Online, and then go into, on my screen anyway, it shows up as timeline, about, friends, photos, more. And under more, there's notes. And this one is in my book. So here's like a free sample of my book. From searching to knowing one's truth. And I don't remember what chapter it is in the latest book, but I know it's in there. So from searching to knowing one's truth. That was one really, really helpful kind of, for me, my own tool that I created to help me guide me into more consciousness and becoming more aware of unconsciousness. Because the clearer, for some reason, I just allowed myself to be super, super clear about what the higher realms are, how they function, what God really is. And that's like my litmus test. So when I see other things that say it's consciousness or say it's more evolved, but it doesn't meet my criteria for godliness, then I know it's bullshit. And then I know it's Watika. So got your number, dude. Yep, I do. He just said, that's okay. I'm kind of supposed to be dismantled over time. He said, I'd rather be dismantled by you than anyone else. Oh, thank you. I will dismantle the shit out of you. And I'll give you a hug the whole way. Appreciating who and what you were. And are, for some. Okay, great question, though. I'm glad that you asked that. Okay, good. Let's see where we are here. Okay, Valerie, thank you. She's saying, thank you. I'm ready to burst into tears. See, I was a hard ass, but it's only because of the mastery. I was just talking about this the other day with my daughter, my younger daughter, Georgia, and two of her friends. We were talking about something that happened to her in gymnastics. She was being pushed down by one of the teachers doing the splits, and she started to cry. It hurt. And I talked to the owner of the gymnastics school about it, and they denied it. They were like, no, we don't do that. And I'm like, yeah, they just did. And what Georgia said something about, she wasn't pushing anyone else down, and I said, okay, this is what you guys need to know, because I love to just offer wisdom for them to consider. When somebody's hard on you, it's because they see your potential. You're not a leader or a teacher or a master in something doesn't go out of their way to help the one in the class where there's no hope for them getting better. We focus on the ones that have the most potential and that show the most promise in getting it, because it's satisfying to us and that shows willingness on that person. So I said it's actually a compliment that she tried to push you down doing the splits, but that tends to be a pretty consistent case, is when somebody's hard on you, it's because you're actually such a rock star. So you can kind of be complimented by it, but Jesus, stand up for yourself too. And that's what I did, because she was just like 7 at the time. Anyways, standing there crying. And Georgia doesn't cry that much. Okay, so you're welcome, Valerie. Okay, Rainey, hello. I just met you recently in private session. Okay, hello. She's saying, hi, Jill. Yes, nailed it on the accepting mastery part of conversation. I get and have known my mastery for a while. Good job. Seeing peers deny it and having so much peer pressure, societal pressure to deny mastery has kept me and others playing hide and seek from owning it. There's a strong message to not admit, own how powerful we are, especially as female. Tips on rising above and owning it, supporting each other to own it. Oh my God, Rainey. Oh, I have goosebumps all over me. Yes, I'm so right next to you on this. Okay, so if you go on my YouTube channel, there's actually a birthday message I shared. Maybe it's not live anymore. It might be. Anyway, so it's from like March 16th. Yeah, my birthday is coming up. March 16th, 2013, I believe. And I did a video on this. And so here's my premise. I totally see what you see. And you're right, especially women. Oh my God, we fuck ourselves over all the time. And together we do it even worse. So I realized at some point with women peers in my industry that there was the subtle game of, oh yeah, you're amazing, but you're not supposed to shine so brightly, Jill. You didn't get the memo. You got to tone it down. It's making others feel uncomfortable. And they didn't say that, but I could feel it, that there was pressure to hide your light. And then I was seeing it in social circles too. And I'm like, whoa. I have like zero tolerance for anyone hiding their light. But see, the game that's played is you'll be called arrogant. If you own your light and know that you are a fucking rock star in this reality, the first thing the women especially will try to do is say, they think they're better than everybody else. See, she thinks she's super awesome and that the rest of us aren't. And I hate that. It comes from you, Wetiko, that's coming from. Because, granted, you see, it's their insecurity. It's their insecurity getting so flared by your light being so bright that it triggers their insecurity, and they want to take a bitch down so that their insecurity can feel better and keep the whole playing field really, really low. And I say, fuck, all over that. No, no, no. Right? So here's what I said in response in that video, and I'll say it here again, and I'll say it any other day of the week that I need to. And one of the reasons why I don't do women's-only events, because I will not play that bullshit, and I'm so sick and tired of gender-only events. If we call bullshit on men-only events, then who the hell are we as women to have women-only events? I will never do that, ever, ever. And I don't think we need to. God. Anyway, strong opinion there. Okay, so the result or the upgrade that I see is I am fucking amazing. And so are you. And so is everyone else here. So if your game is, and not you, but the ones that want to take a bitch down, if your game is that I can't shine my light because it makes you insecure, then you're not willing to share your light, and I don't want to hang out with you. So I'm totally okay that you see that I'm arrogant, that you call me arrogant, because to me, arrogance is I'm great and you are not. And that is not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I'm great and you're great, and you're, for whatever delusional reason, not choosing to see how fucking amazing you are. And I can't make you do that. I wish I could. I wish I could make you see how amazing you are so that you don't waste your time trying to take me down for being my most amazing self. That you would do nothing but celebrate the fact that what I've overcome, of what I've expanded into, of what I allow myself to be, what I allow myself to call myself and see myself as a changer of reality in this whole earth human system. I would rather you be right alongside me and see yourself that way. But you're not choosing to do that. You're choosing to waste time trying to distract me from what I am. And I just won't, I can't hear it. I'm sorry. I can't hear that noise. I don't have time for that. I'm too busy being my light. So if you're ever ready to call up the light of God that's within you so that you can glow as amazing as your soul signature is in the all that is, if you're willing to bring that here from the inside out, I will cheer you on. Because I know we all win by being our best selves. That's how it works. And you can't see that, so I'm not going to ask you to. So I'm just going to keep on shining for those that use it for their own shine. Because that's what I want more than anything. I don't care if someone sees my light, if they're not going to choose to see their own. The whole point of me glowing as brightly as I allow myself to is so that it sparks the amazing, endless, limitless glorification of who you are as a soul in this reality. I want to wake you up to the most amazing you've ever even dreamed of. And then you'll go farther. And you'll be even more than that. And I will be the first one to say, good job. You did it. You're doing it. I'm so happy for you. That's what sisterhood is in my book. And I'm playing by my book. So, Rainey, that's what I say. Oh, God. I love you guys. Whew. Okay, this is feeling good. We're almost at 2 hours. Let me see if there's a caller. I feel like I've been ignoring the switchboard. Oh, my God, I have. Oh, I think I know who this is. Jenny in Jersey. Jenny, are you there?
Okay, be quiet. I'm trying to talk.
Jenny! Jenny! Jenny!
Yes, I'm here.
I'm with you. Can you tell these guys who you are?
Yes. Hi, I'm Jenny G. Perry. How you doing? I'm riveted here. Like, totally riveted.
Awesome.
So can I just give a little 2 cents here?
Of course.
So you and I will have to connect soon. But we see law of attraction, all these divides with spirituality. And what I've been sensing is like this negative force where people try to explain to them, like recently I had an experience where I swear to God, I was feeling like I was being kicked when I was down, and I was actually yelling at God. And you know me, that's not how I roll. And the fact that I was sitting there yelling at God saying, like, what did I do? Like, did we break up or something? So I totally am resonating with this, like, hardcore, where it's like, wow, like, I felt like I was being taken down. And you know you're a light worker. You know you're light, but you have this force up against you. And so I'm like, just wow. Because you got to fight back. And I fought back, and I'm back.
Oh, I love that you fought back. That's so good. Oh, Jenny G. Perry, I love you, sister.
Thank you. But, the question is that, like you're saying, it's almost like the darker force knows our Achilles heel. So it's like for some of us, it might be our kids. Yeah. It might be our finances. It might be, so for me, it's like, it's my kids. And so it's like, wow, it's like then your defenses are so down where you're like, you lose sight of who you are. Just fascinating.
It's impressive and fascinating and horrifying all at the same time, right?
Yep. And so you get, like, you can forget almost like this amnesia of like, you're like, wow, I thought I knew what I was doing, but this Achilles heel type of, rawness that hits you to the core. It's like, the good thing that I can say that I got out of it is I got a glimpse into the way a lot of people's reality is. And I was like, shit, I can't talk to them about what I know because they can't even hear me like you're talking about.
Yep.
Like they can't hear us.
Yeah. Talk to the ones that can hear you. That's why I do these on podcasts, right? Is that I'm saying, hey, I'm here, and I'm just going to trust divine guidance that those that want to hear will be here. Because I don't want to stand on a corner and talk to a whole bunch of unconsciousness that don't get me, don't hear me, and are going to blow me off, and the cricket noise and hey, the weather's good today. I mean, no, I'm not going to waste my time for that.
Exactly. And I think what's beautiful that you're talking about is this allowance of our humanness.
Yes. Yes. Good.
Because in the spiritual communities, it's like when I first started reading Wayne Dyer, I was like, I'm going to be Wayne Dyer. I'm never going to get aggravated. I'm blah, blah, blah. I'm a fiery redhead, and I am going to get angry sometimes. But there's nothing wrong with that. That doesn't mean I'm not spiritual.
That's right.
Of course I'm spiritual. So I love that.
Awesome. Oh, Jenny, I love you. And yes, we'll talk soon. Okay? I love you.
Okay.
Give the kids a hug for me. Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you.
And I apologize. I know that the way I have the audio set up is it's better for like me and the microphone, but I don't have a great setup for being able to hear the audio for the caller, so I apologize for that. I can't fix it right now. I'm sorry. Okay, are we going to take another call? I think we are. Area code 251. Area code 251. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi.
Hey.
How are you today?
Great. How are you?
Good. What's your first name?
Dawn, D-A-W-N.
Hi, Dawn. How are you?
Great. First of all, I wanted to thank you so much for this podcast. Amazing. Amazing what you're saying, okay?
Oh, thank you, Dawn.
Okay, the other thing I wanted to ask you about just came to me is like growing up as a Christian. It's been really wild moving into this movement and then finding freedom in the beginning, of course, expansive freedom, and then getting put on this, like a hamster wheel again for these dates and times and pressure. And then what came to me was that we had just taken the same template and dropped ourselves into it, and then it became this race again. So I know I've heard you speak of God and use terms that, familiar and comfortable with me, so I just like your take on that.
Yep, I totally agree, by the way. And I noticed the same kind of correlation is that you're right, because I have a Christian background too. Not as a child where it was forced onto me. I actually chose to explore very conservative Christianity as an adult.
Right. Me too. Me too.
Yep. Okay. Awesome. So we're not like blaming our parents about it, which is awesome.
Right. No blame.
No
Only
blame.
choice and great joy in some of it.
Yep,
You know,
exactly.
great joy.
So what I noticed too, as I realized that some weren't embracing their sovereignty, they still felt like, well, have I earned it back yet? And and I just talked about this recently in a series I'm offering and leading right now called Celebrating the Impasse, and that registration is still open for that. It's not too late to join, and oh my God, we're kicking ass in that. But we just talked about this on call number 1. Is this concept that for some, it's almost like, well, if I'm human amidst all this other unconsciousness, I must have screwed up as a soul. And see, most forms of enlightenment, whether it's Buddhism and the stages of enlightenment, or Hinduism, as I understand it, in terms of reincarnation, and I haven't studied those religions as human, Jill. I'm just tapping into the energy of them. The outcome of them that I see is that most that feel like they graduated from Christianity stepped right into a form of New Ageism that is just another game very similar, that's saying, well, if you're human, you must not be good enough to stay in heaven, so let's see if you can figure this out so you don't have to come back here again.
Right.
It's the same bullshit game of original sin that we had in Christianity. Right. And Jesus is just going, yeah, it's so true.
Well, Jill, can I ask you this? Do you find it wild that one of the things that I've had to focus on is each time I've moved to a different place with people who are teaching something, I've had to change the terminology, but the terminology to be able to communicate with them, but the terminology in the end still carries the same energetic vibration as the words that I once used in Christianity, but it's like once I feared that they were throwing the baby out with the bathwater because they, and I'm saying they, but I don't know. It's like that's been a mental thing with me because you're the first person I've heard even buck the system in that I don't know what I'm trying to say. I'm sure you understand what I'm trying to say. Can you speak about that?
I think I get it. So I think what I hear you saying is there's a couple things I hear you saying. One is it's frustrating because you're like, I just want to find somebody that sees the system the way I see it so that we can kind of work together to, hijack a way out of this nonsense. And it's almost like hijacking into consciousness. So I'm right alongside you. And my example was listening to that video of those two amazing leaders fellow leaders in this community that may have me on their show. And I'm like, I don't even know if I want to be on that show because I don't like to hang out with that. I can't stand it. It drives me crazy.
Okay. Jump forward with me just a second. Ultimately, and this is a crazy question because I know it could take you hours, but if we're here to be our sovereign selves and to represent our God force or whatever, our divine, and we have our council and we have our groups and we're here, what are we here just because we're going to have some fun and we're going to demonstrate how to do that? And I mean, why? I'm not saying why because I'm having a great time, but I'm saying, is there a sentence that can tell me and us? Ultimately, like, we're not fighting everybody. We're not doing all that. We're not deciphering through what they're all doing. But what are we doing here? Are we here just to be a consciousness and have some fun?
Oh, I love that question. I love you guys. I love you guys so much. I geek out on intelligent questions and things, and I'm constantly like, oh, my God, I love you guys. Okay, so I feel so blessed. So great question. I'm glad you asked it because sometimes I forget about these big ones that people haven't heard me say and offer to you. So the way that it's shown to me is that every single time one of us that was born within the veils takes them off and realizes, whoa, wait a minute, there is no original sin. And we say it with a smile.
Yes.
And we feel God within us again. Yes. We feel the vibration and the truth and the unconditional love that cuts like a knife through the fog of unconsciousness. Yes. Every time we do that, we restore humanity's original divinity. It was never original sin. It was always original divinity.
Yeah.
So every time we do that, it's like we break the mold of humanity back to its original, and we upgrade it as we go. Once we do that, then we restore the original codes. Then when we have fun being it, then when we're like, oh my God, I'm already light. I was always light. I couldn't break the light. Well, shit. Then let's just have fun. This today was fun. I know to some people it was like, but wait, you said you were nervous. Being nervous to Jill, overachiever Jill, that is total type A. She loves to be like, I don't know if you can do this. Let's see.
Yeah.
You know, so even to me, this was like super, super fun. So when we have fun, then we upgrade the model. And Jesus is just like, hallelujah, amen. She just said that. Yes, we did. Because when you're trying to fix everybody, it becomes a job. When you realize it's not your job to fix anybody, and that your own awakening, your own ascension, which is simply acknowledging and embracing and trusting and owning and animating and having fun with the light of God we always were, always will be, and cannot not be, even if we tried, even here, then we have fun.
Yay, okay, you rock. Thank you. Thank you for and I love the original statement about you being afraid. It's so much fun because I've only had a couple experiences like that of diving into things, but oh my God, you're so right, and there's so many people that turn around, so thank you for starting with that, because
you're welcome.
You cannot know until you cross over whether you wanted to do it or not, right?
Yep, exactly. Dawn, I love you, sister, and I hope I get to talk to you again. You're amazing.
Yes.
And thank you for sharing you. Thank you.
Thank you, Jill, so much. And thank you for providing this freely for all of us. I appreciate it so very much. You hear me?
Thank you so much. Thank you. I heard that.
Right,
Bye-bye,
bye.
sister. Oh, my God. You guys are amazing. Okay, this person I totally know. Area code 712. Jess?
Hello.
Yes. Hello, sister. How are you?
Oh, I love today.
Look at what we all did. Oh, my God.
It was incredible. And there was a part of me that was just like highly impressed with the Watika. And for me personally, what was absolutely phenomenal is that I felt like I gave it, like the scary mask was removed. Because it felt too like I allowed it to be bigger than it was, because it's been very much annoying to me personally. That was the way I experienced it. And a lot of times I was totally convinced that it was bigger than me. And now that it's like has like not really a face, but like I by you talking with it and as it, it's like its vibration was in, like, I knew exactly where it was in my field, and like I'm now aware of it. So I mean that's all it takes for me.
I gotta say, Watiko's over here just going, "Oh fuck, we just lost Jess."
Yeah, and I was a big one to lose.
You did.
I was a big one to lose because I mean, for me personally, I know a lot of us, like many people that are here, like on vacation, they don't have as much energy. It doesn't take a whole lot of their energy to animate them. True. But if you're like here to wake up, at least for me, like I utilize a lot of my energy, so I feel like I was feeding those fuckers like they were like just having a heyday in my field.
Yeah.
And so it was like, it was highly impressive. And also, I was surprised by the intelligence.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm so glad I did it this way. You are so affirming why I did this. I so appreciate this, Jess. Tell me more.
Well,
Thank you.
Yeah, well, and you definitely kind of like pulled the rug out. And not in a, I love how you like to come back and say your nicer version of it. I like straightforward. I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
I can appreciate that because I actually am nauseated by the flowery words of unconsciousness in spiritual communities.
Yeah, me too.
They cover it. It's like, let's put a pretty smell on it, and it's still horse shit, but we're going to make it sound really good. And, you know, so I could appreciate that. I appreciate the straightforward. And then it made me say, well, God, I can totally see, like, when it's coming from me.
Yeah.
When it's the unconscious, because then I know what kind of like it sounds like. So
yes.
So much of what you spoke about and your, what you were bringing to the surface and are things that I've been really highlighting in my field. Like I've been consciously aware of it because I expect it from myself.
Yeah.
And that's where I can get so frustrated is because I'm like, where's my mastery? Like, where is it? Like, I know it's there. What? And by me asking where my mastery is, that's almost like creating, because I feel like I very much create bypasses to the unconsciousness, because I am very genius. I could say genius of how we know it's there. How are we going to work around it? Like, what are we going to do? That turns me on. Like, I get excited. Like, oh my God, and turn on. I mean, light up. That's what gets me lit up. And so I could just feel like so many new, like, I'm like, all right, what new paths are we going to create? What new options and what new are we going to build and create to bypass a lot of just the nonsense? Because it can be noisy.
Yes.
It can be super noisy. And for me to dance with the different physical matter has made it much looser in my field and allows for more of my presence to be animated and brought to the surface. Because I know that the Wetiko uses the brain and ego, like, because they try to make it, I mean, that you're seeing it as your enemy, but that's in your field.
Yeah,
that's your energy.
You're using it against yourself. It's the ultimate suicide. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, wait a minute, you guys are supposed to be working for me, so there's something that's not right here, because I can smell when it's not right. And I'm like, what's going on here? And so when I decided to invite them into the dance, then it has shifted tremendously in my life. So.
Tremendously, yep. Oh,
I love it. But I was so impressed, like, just of the geniusness of it and just how I now see it. And I'm like, thank you. Because I get excited about conversations like this. I am like,
me too.
I am done with the nonsense. I don't, like, I so much am getting serious about being light and just celebrating it.
I love it. My new tagline, by the way, on those little social media squares where I pick a picture and then I drop some truth bomb or something. I add a little tagline. It says Jill Renee Feeler, not your everyday light worker.
Good for you. Good for you. Because you're not. And I feel like it is. And you know what? And I think too is like, so many of us, myself included, is that I was so annoyed by so many of the labels because I'm like, I don't like what that is. And now, because if you're coming from it from an angle where it feels restricted and tight, your energy just can't come in there.
Yeah.
And so if you can dance with it more, then it allows more of your consciousness, your energies to come within it from within, like bubbles up from within, and then you can dance with it, and then that kind of just changes everything. It changes the whole game. So I'm thrilled, and I'm so excited. And thank you for every single one of us that was involved in this and that supported bringing it forward, because we all were, and you just rock it always. So thank you.
Oh, Jess, thank you. I see you too, sister, and I love what I see. Thank you for being you.
Thank you.
I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye. Oh, my God. Ah. Okay, we're going to take another caller. I know we're way over. I'm having fun. So if you're having fun, then I'm guessing you're still here. And if you're not having fun, I'm guessing you're gone. And I'm okay with that, too. Okay, Denver, a web call, and I think I know who this is, too. Hello? Can you hear me, Denver? Hello? Is your mute on? Oh, wait, I think I unmuted you. Or I muted you again. Is it better now? Hello? Hello. Oh, I can hear you.
Okay, you can hear me now. Okay.
Yes.
I wanted to say thank you. It is Terry. It's been a while since I've been in your energy, dear.
Hi, Terry.
I did take your class, the mastery class. I need to get back into some of that. I've had some issues in the family that I've had to deal with. But I want to thank you so much for today's show. Yes, I have felt that so much. I was just like your friend just said, what was going on? What's happening? Why is this happening to me? I know I'm a master.
Yeah.
Okay. And you bringing it to the surface, it was like a weight came off my shoulders. I don't know how else to describe it to you.
Good.
My team has brought me some wonderful crystals that I've been wearing around my neck to keep myself more balanced, because I keep picking up everyone else's energy.
Yeah.
Okay. And trying to stay in this high energy with everything else happening around me has just been, I the word that comes to my mind is horrendous.
Mm.
Okay. Can you give us a little bit of information on how to move forward? I mean, I know there's many, just tell me what comes to your head about moving more into our mastery. Do we all have to be teachers?
No, we don't have to be teachers. So your mastery is already in your light. Your mastery is its hallmark is the words that I always give to it is, I've got this. I've got this. So I encourage you to reconsider any notions that to be a master means you have to be on stage, or you have to be the one behind the desk at the book signing, or you have to be public, or you have to have an audience, or whatever. Mastery comes in so many forms. My dog is a master. He owns his mastery, So there's so many different, that's for us to decide how we do it. And the best way to assess how you're doing it is how well you're feeling. And another way of looking at it is how much do I allow myself to love who I am and love everybody else exactly as they are and exactly as I am. That to me is the biggest, most meaningful indicator of mastery, because it takes a master to look at this mess sometimes and say, you know what, I still love myself, and I still love the neighbor that bitches about my dog barking. I don't have a neighbor that does that anymore, but that's just an example that we can't control. That it's finding and creating and fostering more and more of the actual unconditional love that we are as Source Creator. Doing that here takes mastery.
Right on, sister. I totally agree with you. And yes, I am doing what I'm supposed to be doing because I'm just holding the love.
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly.
I am instituting change in many avenues of friends and neighbors and relatives, etc. Not telling them what to do, but just being there to listen a lot of the times is what is needed. If they ask, then you can tell them.
Right.
Okay. But if they don't ask, you don't give the information. Okay. My team has been wanting me to do more channeling so that I can bring some of this information out to people, but I'm still like, well, is that what they need right now? But it's possible. Okay.
And if it brings what I'm hearing, and I know you already have your own connection with your team, but one option to consider right there is if it brings you joy, Terry, then yeah, do it.
Right.
And if it's scary, then I would say, hell yeah, do it.
That's it, and that's where the getting over that little scary is the boundary, and I'm feeling more confident in doing that, and especially with what you just said.
Awesome, good.
Not just in these 2 minutes, but these last 2 hours has really been helping me to release that load of, like, my wings are like they're held in. They need to go out. And when I spread them out, I feel so much sometimes, though. But it's like and my team says it's okay. Okay,
yeah.
Your wings are out there. You're embracing everyone in your love. That's all you need to do. Yep. You don't have to do anything more than that if that's all you feel that you need to do at this moment.
I love that.
And that makes me feel better.
Good. I want to offer something related to that, and I hope I remember. I'll ask my team to remind me to bring this up in the Celebrating the Empath series that I'm doing, is that for those of us that are empathic, that the bigger our light gets, the more we're concerned about it becoming heavy on us. Another approach is use our expanded energy field and our expanded connection to God to witness the pain and suffering that's in the world without the unnecessary step of, oh, I can fix that. That's where Watika comes in, because it's not our job to fix it. It's their job to fix it. And I have seen miracles happen when somebody that's in pain is seen in their sovereignty. It changes everything because we're looking past the pain. So when I see someone on Facebook that's sharing their experience on cancer, and that they just went through the phase where they lost their hair because they're doing traditional chemotherapy. There's part of me that wants to say, oh, dear God, please don't do traditional chemotherapy because of my own personal beliefs about it. But what I choose to say is, I see you. Your light is still shining. I see you. Because that's the most healing vibration there is. It's from their own God essence, not mine.
Right. Yes.
As one example.
Right. And having just lost my mom about a month ago, I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
But she is still shining brightly.
Of course.
Okay. And she's always been that shining star, so she has helped me to even move forward.
I feel that.
All right, in her loss, okay, which she has connected more with me to help me move a little bit more forward with it all, so that's a good thing. Okay?
Nice. God bless your mom.
Yes, and I didn't really, wanted to tell her not to go through all the things she was going through, but I had to keep biting my tongue.
Yeah, your choice.
Because I'm just like, I'm not the one. I'm hitting my fist on my hand too. It's like you can't tell them what to do. You have to allow them their experience, even though it hurts the hell out of you.
Yeah. It's their life. Yeah.
And it really did. And it was her time to go. She wanted to go on and do something much more productive. So she has done that. Okay.
I love you, Terry. It was so good to hear your voice again and reconnect. And thank you for all that you are. And I'm sorry about your mom. I'm sorry about that loss. That's never fun.
No. But I did go back and I did help the family with the loss, and me being there holding my light really helped them through it a lot. And I really saw that. Okay.
Awesome. That's good. Good for you.
And it helped. It actually helped her to leave a little bit easier too. Okay?
I'm sure of that. That's great. I love that you see that, sister.
Yeah. So thank you very much for everything, Jill. And
you're welcome.
I have to thank you again. This was absolutely fabulous. And I just happened to say, oh, wait a minute, I haven't checked in with Jill, and it was on my email, and I went, hey, today's a good day to do that. So thank you.
You're so welcome. I love you. Bye-bye, Terry. Talk to you soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, we are all just so cool and so awesome. I love it. Okay, I feel like we're coming to a close here. Yeah, that feels good. Oh, thank you so much, you guys. We went way over, and I don't care. I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for being everything that you are. This was scary for me, as I mentioned, and I'm so glad it went well. It may not have gone well for some, and I didn't hear from you, and that's okay. I don't need to hear from you because I like how it went. So I wouldn't change anything anyway. I do want to point out some other things that are coming up, other offerings, in case you're interested. Number one, I did send out an email to my newsletter, a newsletter to my peeps this morning, letting them know about this. So if you like to get reminders like that, I'm getting better at sending out just quick little newsletters and things like that. So I'll do better. I want to do better at the newsletters and just do them more often. So go ahead and sign up for a newsletter if you're interested, and that's at jillreneefeeler.com, and I think it's under About. And then sign up for newsletter if you don't get those already. Newsletters really matter. These telesummits sometimes that invite, they're like, oh, I don't like to have a guest on that doesn't have such and such a people on their newsletter. And I'm like, well, whatever. I've got way more than enough people that I interact with. So if my number is too small for you, then I guess you can't hear me. Anyway, I've never chased newsletter signups and done freebies. And if you do this, if you sign up for my newsletter, I'll give you a freebie. I just don't like the energy around that. It's just not me. So I've never done it, even though I've been advised over and over and over again to do it that way. So if you do it that way, there's no shame. It doesn't feel like me. It doesn't feel like me. So sign up for my newsletter if you're interested. We have the Celebrating the Empaths series. It is going on live. It will be available in archive. We had the first call this last week. Oh my God, it blew me away, and the response was amazing. We have 2 other live calls coming up, so you can check that out at jillreneefeeler.com /empath, EMPATH. Check that out. What we did today is becoming a monthly series. I've never done a monthly subscription. I've always talked about doing it. And Watika, were you doing it with me? He's like, yes, I'll do it with you. Like I said, if there's anyone that's going to take me down, I guess I want it to be you. Yay! Okay, so I did quickly put together that subscription offering. So you can find that at jillreneefeeler.com /outwitting Wetiko /. Okay, so jillreneefeeler.com /out. Actually, you could just go in the search engine and type in Outwitting Wetiko or Wetiko, and you'll get that. Anyway, it's a monthly subscription, and I'll just keep sharing different. I'll probably share 2 different messages a month. We'll do at least one live Q&A call where we can interact like this, and we'll just dismantle the bullshit is what we'll do. And yeah, I'd love to have you join for that. That feels so special and so good, and I'm so glad we're doing it. So anyway, I don't have a lot of details about like when the next message will be posted, but once you sign up, I'll send out an email notifying of like when something will be posted and when there'll be a live Q&A call, etc. What else is going on? My France trip, a Sacred Mary Magdalene tour to France and Rome. I worked my ass off on the itinerary, and I finally had it ready to send out to my interested list, which was a nice long list of amazing people. So I sent that out on Saturday, and I've already got some registrations. But if you didn't know about that and you are interested in joining me in France and Rome, the Rome part, by the way, is basically do a blessing and a forgiveness and a big old fuck you to the Catholic Church that you burned us before as Cathars, and you've done so much nonsense to try to keep us from our light while trying to do the good things in the dark age. But anyway, you try to fuck us over in this timeline and others, and still we're here standing in our light. So yeah, that's why we're ending in Rome. And as I was doing the itinerary, I'm like, but I want to do really something fun in Rome too. So I found these Segway tours, and I've done Segway tours before in Scottsdale, Arizona, and I just had a total blast. I'm like, oh my God, they've got to have Segway tours in Rome, and they do. So we're doing a Segway tour after we're done with all the kind of work part of, and it won't feel like work. We're going to be amazing. It's all that you'll see. Anyway, if you're interested, send me an email to Jill at jillreneefeeler.com, and then I will send out the information to you. My hope is to actually get there's only 14 spots, to actually get those filled with like the dream team and just get it locked down so that we can book flights and just relax and enjoy and tune ourselves however we want to be tuned before that trip in October. Okay, so send me an email if you're interested, and I will send you the details. I worked, like I said, really hard on that itinerary, and it's amazing. It feels really good. Okay, what else? For those that feel out of alignment with their physical body, I did too. I felt like shit. I was good, and I was, sparkly and all those things and connected to my light, but I knew I could do way, way better in my bodysuit and eat better, and I didn't feel good. My joints ached. My skin didn't feel young and fresh anymore. My hair felt dull. I just felt like not myself, and I thought, this can't be like the beginning of the end in terms of feeling good as Jill in my human bodysuit. I'm only 45 is what I was thinking. And I was right. It wasn't the beginning of the end. So my team guided me on a different kind of specific journey, and then they kept showing me different things along the way, metaphysical and physical, and I had such amazing results that I couldn't not share that. So I put that into a series, and you can check that out at mindingthematter.net, and I love the funny title we came up with. Because some of us are so in our upper chakras that we totally let our bodies and the physical relationships go to hell in a handbasket through neglect and feeling like they don't matter, but holy shit, they do matter. Your body matters. What you eat matters. And Watika's like, fucking hey, she just totally blew my, yes, I did, because what we eat matters, and you know it, and you use it against us. Anyway, so mindingthematter.net, and I'm here for you. I've got your back, and I am like a totally different version of myself. And I liked myself before, but I really, really I feel so alive. I feel so on fire. I could not have done this message a year ago. There's no way. The energetic, physical relationship I had with my body would not have allowed this. So, yeah. Woohoo! Okay. So, let's see. Oh, I hope I didn't. Let's see, just do that. Okay. Let's check this out. Okay, so anyway, that feels good. If you have anything else that you want to share or talk to me about, send me an email at jill@jillreneefeeler.com, the private sessions. There's discounts within the store and then special discounts. So, yes. I love you guys, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.